afternoon. This is Jeff Cope with Homegrown Gardens in Southwest Corvallis, and we're here today to talk about organic lawn care. And a lot of our customers are curious how they can have the best lawn with minimal care, and we promote using organic approaches as much as you can to having a good, healthy green lawn. I'm staging this just outside the nursery on my son's property on his luscious lawn back here for a good background. And a couple resources I'll send you to start with. One is at the nursery we have this organic lawn care guide, and it goes month by month, things that you can do. So starting in January all the way to December, the different things you can do to keep your lawn in tip-top shape. So that's a helpful resource, and I'll be using that as kind of my outline for today. The other one is a book by Paul Tukey that he did, well, it's been a few years now, but it's Organic Lawn Care Manual. And if you can get this book, probably still available on Amazon or some used bookstores, it's a great resource. Everything you need to know we're going to cover here real quickly. So if you want more in-depth information, it gets into a lot of details on turf grass varieties and different things that we won't have time to get into, obviously, in a 15-minute video. So that's a great resource for you to look into. So the first key to having healthy soil, healthy lawn, is that healthy soil. And that's a theme that we talk about over and over and over here at Homegrown Gardens in terms of healthy plants means healthy soil. So that's why we propose organic lawn care. When you put 16, 16, 16 or any other high nitrate chemical fertilizer on your lawn, the lawn greens up instantly, but you're killing the microbes in the soil that will continue to feed and continue to help your lawn. And so we promote using organic fertilizer. So the one that we propose is the one that we sell, of course, and that is BioTurf by Down to Earth out of Eugene. They manufacture it down there, and they're a great source. This is an 835, 8% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, 5% potassium, all organic sourced. So it takes a while for it to green up. But if you can get on a program of at least 3 times, what we propose 4 times a year, starting early in the season, like late February, getting the first fertilizer out, using about 15 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And you put that out, and it takes a while as the weather warms, we get closer to spring, it begins to activate in the soil by the microbes. And then it begins to slowly fertilize. And as it fertilizes, it's building the microbes in the soil that continues to release other organic matter in the soil for the fertility of your lawns. And so you have an even green throughout the year, not a flush of growth and then yellow, and then flush of growth, yellow, and you get fertilizer. So this is going to give you actually months of fertilization effort with minimal care. Statistics show that 80% of all the nitrogen fertilizer you put on your lawns, high nitrogen fertilizers, is lost to the atmosphere. You're going to get near 100% of what you put that 8% on. So if you really did the math, you're getting more bang for your buck with organic fertilizer than you do chemical fertilizers. So that's real important. We all serve components for the Job It Done raw products. And the first one here is Maximize. And Maximize is biology. And this has a lot of good microbes in it, fungus, bacteria, protozoa, things that will inoculate your lawn as you're putting the organic fertilizer on it, feeding those microbes with fertilizer, which are in turn turning their byproducts into fertilizer for your grass. So Maximize at least once a year, we suggest. There's another product called Optimize, which is basically a humus type product, also has some calcium in it. I'll talk about the value of calcium and also the pH of your soil in just a minute. So annual aeration. I don't have a mechanical aerator here, but if you can figure out ways to aerate your lawn once a year prior to doing what we call a compost application, That's kind of an add-on. And if you did the compost, what we have over here is the black gold garden compost. You put that on just a thin layer about once a year right after aeration. You could do that in the spring. You could also do that in the fall. And that's going to really build up that soil. That's going to give you thicker, lusher, healthier lawns. John and Bob's also does produce a fertilizer. You could use this as an alternative, and it's called Bio Sol or Nourish. That's the 611 formulation. So that's another option to the Bio Turf. So that's the John and Bob's materials that we recommend. Now, soil. A little chart here might be, if I can get that in the camera very close, I'm not sure. But this is a nutrient availability chart. This is right out of the textbook. And it shows the availability of nutrients, micro and macronutrients. Macronutrients are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Micronutrients are things like sulfur, calcium, magnesium, manganese, iron, and so forth and so on. A lot of your soils here in the Willamette Valley, I have found to be running around 5.5. And you want to test it. You can get these little testers. We sell these at Homegrown Gardens. Get your find out what your pH is, and then from there you can take action to try to get your soil a little closer to neutral. If you can get it up to 6.5 or 7, your grass is going to be happier, and the moss that wants to take over is going to be less happy. So it kind of retards the moss and encourages the grass to grow. And all these nutrient availability, you can see this chart at 5.5, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are reduced availability in the soil. They're locked up. If we get it closer over here to 7 or 6.5 to 7, you're getting more bang for your buck for all these nutrients, particularly as you get down to like calcium. And that's why there's things like calcium in John and Bob's. You can also add that, and this also brings the pH up. Limestone. You can get lime and do that maybe on an annual basis after you test your soil to see how much you can boost that soil closer to the neutral pH of 7. And more than likely you're going to find it's going to be down to 5.5 or in that range. But do test it, find out what you've got going on. There's also another test kit you can get that will also test nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and dial that in as well. You can also send your soil samples off to A&L Labs or other laboratory out there to tell you what your nutrient levels are doing. So, back to my outline here about organic lawn care. Mowing your lawn. Most of our cool season grasses like ryegrass, fescues and things are going to be mowed best at 2.5, 3 inches. So mow it high. If your lawn is converted over to colonial bentgrass or to creeping bentgrass that naturally comes in, that's how a lawn matures in the Northwest. It always turns into bentgrass, it seems, which is best mowed at a lower height, maybe more of an inch. So figure out what kind of grass you have and get your mowing heights dialed in to that grass that you have. We mentioned annual aeration and top dressing once a year. What about weeds? If you have a thick, healthy lawn, your weed problems can be very minimized. But if you have some broadleaf weeds in there, and see here we've got some dandelions and some false dandelions and some English daisies and a few things. I kind of like the English daisies in my lawn. I have a little bit of clover. It doesn't seem to bother me. If some of that bothers you, there are some products you can use. This is called Whitney Farms Lawn and Weed Killer. It doesn't have an OMRI label on it. It should. It's chelated iron. So it burns it back very effectively, and it's very low impact type of a product. Chelated iron for the control of broadleaf weeds in your lawn. It's a great way to go that is very earth friendly. And so we sell that product as well. What about watering? We're getting into that season. We're getting close to June. Things have warmed up. People are turning the sprinklers on. In the drier months of July, which is probably our highest month of water usage in terms of the grass pulling water out of the soil, and you have to replace that. you want to put about 1.5 inches of water, between an inch and a half of water per week on your lawns. And so you've got to figure out how much water your sprinkler system. I've got just here this example of a type of hose-in sprinkler. My favorite is the oscillating type by Dram. These are great to give a nice even distribution of water. If you have a sprinkler system, that's great if it's been properly designed. But you want to measure the precipitation rate to know how many inches per hour it puts out, and that way you can measure it. If you're putting 1.5 inches out divided by 3 times a week, that's about 1/2 inch each time you water. There's 2 ways to do it. You can catch cans to measure how much water you're getting. You can also go maybe irrigate for, say, a half an hour or so with your watering device, and then test the soil, see how deep you're getting that water. You want to go at least 6 inches deep when you water. You want that water to penetrate 6 inches deep 3 times a week. Moss control. Yeah, Northwest have lots of moss that wants to take over our lawns. Keep your pH up. Keep your grass healthy and thick. If you have shaded areas that are more prone to the moss, you can use iron sulfate. The iron in there is actually good for the lawns, and the sulfate helps bring the pH up a little bit. So there's a double benefit by using iron sulfate if you do have moss and want to control that. What have I not covered? So we talked about the healthy soil. That's the most important thing. Oh, when you do mow, I mentioned I'm mowing heights. If you can get a mulching mower and keep the grass clippings, that's like added fertilizer. All that breaks down and goes back into that nutrient cycling. And as you're putting on the biosol, or you're putting on the bioturf and the microbes, all that is creating life in the soil, cycling that, and your lawn is just thriving in that process. So leave your cuttings on the lawn if you can, and don't pull those off and send those out to the landfill. It doesn't make sense. Talked about annual aerification, top dressing, broadleaf weeds, watering, moss control, mowing heights. It's not that hard to grow a great lawn in the Pacific Northwest without a lot of work and effort. If you don't stress about a few weeds here and there and just stay with organic, you can have a great looking lawn with minimal care using these products. And happy lawn growing, and we'll see you at Homegrown Gardens. Thanks a lot.